Hi, Mark Gilbert here. Today in this video I want to look at the immigration issue facing the United States, but only from a spiritual perspective. In a recent video I suggested that a useful tool that we can all use for examining many of our political opinions was to look at how we answered one question. That question was this: is everything we experience separate and apart from one another, or is everything connected? Another way of saying that: are we motivated by competition and fear for the other, or cooperation and love for other expressions of the one? Now, as I mentioned in that video, I know that every time you put something into an either-or choice, where you're forced into picking one or the other, that you're way oversimplifying the thing, and that the real answer transcends that choice. I know that many of us move along a continuum between feeling fear and separation and love and connectedness. That's the reality. But what's key is the process of seeing the either-or question as a tool that can lead to our higher understanding and potentially give us ideas on solutions that may transcend what we would normally be thinking about. Although we may be evolving in our consciousness ultimately towards an awareness of our oneness, something that I frequently talk about in these videos, until such time that enough of us know that we are all one, we've got to make decisions that address those who may still be living in a sense of separation and fear. So, what do you tend to believe? Is everything connected, or is everything separate? Is our goal cooperation, or is it competition? Let's consider a thought experiment for a moment. Let's say you've got a water hose and it's on and it's watering your plants. It's actually serving a useful purpose for you, but then you discover that too much water is coming out of the hose and it's going to start harming your plants. So you need some of the water, so you start looking for ways to direct the excess water around to other plants. But then there's still too much water coming out. So you decide to build a barrier to stop the water. But the water keeps finding ways to get around the barrier. So what should you do? Obviously, in this thought experiment, you should go to the source, the spigot, and see why the hose is sending so much water, and either take steps to reduce the flow by adjusting it or turning it off altogether. In a sense, this is what's happening with immigration in our country. It has always benefited us as a nation to have a steady flow of immigrants coming in. We're a nation built on immigrants. But many people feel that too many people are seeking refuge here, and that the oversupply may be harming the natural growth and prosperity that we're all seeking. So what should we do? We should go to the source and determine why so many people are leaving their country and coming to the U.S. Most of the immigrants coming are from three countries: Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. We need to ask the question, why are they leaving? Well, a lot of people have researched this, and there's many reasons behind it. But if you look at the issue, it typically boils down into two categories: violence and poverty. Violence caused by gangs and lawlessness in certain countries, and poverty driven by a lack of productive jobs and sources of income. You know, one of the reasons for income failing, but by no means the only one, is the falling price of coffee on the international market. Whereas people could make a living growing and selling fair trade coffee a few years ago, a recent influx in the supply, especially from countries such as Brazil, has reduced the amount of growers by the fact that they can no longer make a profit. Many of these growers are leaving their countries and coming elsewhere, especially the U.S. So, in the big picture, what should we do? Well, back to that first choice question. Fear and separation, and seeing ourselves as separate and apart from the individuals in Central America, the ones who are suffering, makes it easier for us to consider solutions that we believe will benefit us, but may harm them. Catch them and deport them back to their country. Build a wall they can't get around. Devote more and more resources to guarding our border. On the other hand, if we see that we're connected to these people, and that just by unfortunate circumstances they were born into a country that's suffering, then their suffering is naturally going to lead them to protect themselves and their family, and we can see that. It's normal for them to want to seek to meet their basic needs of safety and security and offer themselves the opportunity to thrive. And if we can see that and know the unity with these people in that particular circumstances, then we may seek solutions that work to raise their standard of living. This includes going to the source, where they live, and trying to turn off the hose, to see what, if anything, we can do to help these countries with their issues of violence and poverty. In fact, in spite of all the talk about building a wall that gets in the media these days, the U.S. actually is doing that. We are spending money to address some of the root issues going on in these Central American countries. The question is it enough? I'm not sure. And I'm not saying this issue is easy. But the effort and the money will pay off more in the long run than simply building more and more walls and deporting more and more people. If we're truly connected to them, then we want them to succeed and thrive, either here in the U.S. or back home in their original country. So the question is, are we separate or are we connected? Which path is correct? As I stated at the beginning, we should look to transcend either-or thinking and find a higher solution, one that addresses our issues realistically about how borders and how people enter the country are looked at, one that seeks to honor the work and commitment of immigrants who are already here in the country, one that seeks to address the root causes of the poverty and violence in their home countries, helping to eliminate the need to migrate in the first place. The truth is, if we can imagine a future where people are free from fear and free to live a fulfilling life, that is, a world that works for all, then at that time we might find ourselves not needing walls and borders and anything that divides us. There are integrated solutions out there if we break down our sense of tribalism on the issue. This isn't a left or right issue. It's a left and right issue. It's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's an American issue. And the solutions that we seek should address that, not only for all of America, but recognizing that we're citizens of the world and that ultimately this is a human issue. What do you think? Drop me a comment and let me know. Until next time.